Welcome to Drips News. Stay informed with the latest headlines, delving into government shakeups, trade wars, economic instability, and the ever-evolving geopolitical landscape. We'll explore Elon Musk's controversial government cuts, Trump's tariff threats, and much more. Don't forget to follow us online for real-time updates. Government efficiency, DOGE, is under fire for sweeping cuts, including the dismissal of critical personnel from nuclear to disease control sectors. Musk acknowledges errors, but critics decry a destroy-first approach. Taxpayer savings claims are doubted amid reports of abrupt firings, sparking outrage and bipartisan concerns over unintended consequences and the perils of unchecked authority. Wall Street plunged as President Trump confirmed impending tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods, triggering a 650-point drop in the Dow and the S&P 500's worst day of the year. The NASDAQ also suffered substantial losses. Trump aims to incentivize production shifts to the U.S., but Canada's Trudeau swiftly retaliated with tariffs on $30 billion of U.S. goods. Compounding market anxiety, Trump escalated tariffs on Chinese imports, sending the VIX volatility index soaring to its highest level this year, signaling deep investor unease. And now, legendary investor Warren Buffett weighs in. Warren Buffett has labeled tariffs an act of war, warning of increased consumer prices due to disrupted trade. His remarks coincide with the Trump administration's implementation of tariffs as high as 25% on key trade partners like Canada, Mexico, and China, fueling fears of a trade war. Despite Commerce Secretary Lutnick's dismissal, economists caution that these tariffs could raise costs for U.S. consumers across various sectors, potentially impacting consumer confidence as Robert Kennedy Jr. seemingly shifts stance on vaccines. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., previously known for vaccine misinformation, appears to have reversed his stance, now advocating for the MMR vaccine in a Fox News op-ed, citing a deadly measles outbreak in Texas. He emphasized the risks of measles, particularly to the unvaccinated, and highlighted the importance of vaccine accessibility and community immunity, marking a significant departure from his previous position. Will this change the public health discourse, or will scrutiny in Ukraine take center stage? President Zelensky's leadership in Ukraine is facing increasing scrutiny, not only from Russia but also from prominent U.S. lawmakers who question his ability to negotiate an end to the war. Concerns voiced by figures like Speaker Johnson and Senator Graham, amplified by President Trump's actions, risk undermining Zelensky's position and fueling political divisions within Ukraine, potentially emboldening Moscow. But is this the only way to see this, or is Trump shifting U.S. foreign policy towards Russia? Donald Trump is drastically altering decades of U.S. foreign policy toward Russia, raising concerns about global security. Trump has publicly blamed Ukraine for the ongoing war, criticizing President Zelensky while easing pressure on the Kremlin. This shift, unsettling European allies and sparking debate about U.S. support for Ukraine, suggests a potential move toward cooperation with Russia, celebrated by some conservative populists. What will this mean for the economy and the markets? Wall Street plummeted after President Trump announced planned tariffs on Canada and Mexico. The Dow Jones dropped 800 points, the S&P 500 had its worst day of the year, and the NASDAQ slid 3%, impacted by Nvidia's struggles. Trump announced a 25% tariff on Canada and Mexico, plus an extra 10% on China, exacerbating trade tensions. Concerns about the U.S. economy were already present, with rising supplier costs due to trade concerns. Analysts and businesses warn of potential price increases and impacts on consumer expectations and retail sales. Is this a sign of bigger economic trouble ahead? The U.S. economy is showing signs of instability with rising layoffs, declining consumer spending, and plummeting consumer confidence. President Trump is threatening new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China, potentially raising costs for American consumers and hindering the Federal Reserve. Retaliation from Mexico, Canada, and China raises the specter of a trade war, already weighing on businesses with paused orders and financial strain. Who will pay the price? The war in Ukraine continues to claim civilian lives as Russia intensifies its attacks. Despite Trump's insistence that Putin desires peace, a recent drone strike killed a Ukrainian journalist and her husband. Zelensky maintains that Russia's continued attacks on civilian targets demonstrate a lack of genuine interest in negotiations, urging the international community for greater support. Is there any relief on the horizon? U.S. unemployment benefit applications have hit a three-month high, reaching 242,000, slightly above projections. While jobless claims remain within a healthy range, analysts are closely monitoring the impact of government downsizing efforts. Despite recent increases, the labor market remains relatively strong. Although several major companies have announced workforce reductions in 2025, how will all of this impact stocks? Tesla's stock has plummeted 30% since December, wiping out over $100 billion from Elon Musk's wealth, sparking intense debate among shareholders. While some attribute the decline to Musk's controversial involvement in Washington, others point to increased competition in the EV market and concerns about Tesla's dominance in self-driving tech. That's all for today's Drips News. Stay tuned for more updates as these stories unfold. The world never stops changing, and neither will we. We'll see you next time.